welcome everyone to the September 3rd Tuckahoe Talk. We try to do these once a quarter. I think we might have slipped a little over the summer. We'll try to get one more in before the end of the year. Just a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, thank you to our wonderful PR team. This is being live streamed for anyone out there. Thank you to our community officers, Officer Butler, Officer Scholl. Thank you for being here. Take a look over there, folks. This is 2/3 of the greatest community officers in the entire county. I'm just kidding, guys, but I know he's blushing back there. But no, these guys, these are our community officers that keep us safe, obviously. Miss Shea, our school board representative, our elected official for our school board is here. And she's going to step out, but she will be back for if there are questions at the end on the school side. We brought Ms. Shea as well. So, and you're going to hear from our three county folks, Mr. Zanino, Mr. Chan, and Mr. Hughes this afternoon. Just a quick thank you to the library staff for hosting us today. And there are plenty of seats up front. As people are coming in, still a few seats up front. Just a little reminder on the Tuckahoe Talk, what we're trying to do, and this is just sort of the philosophy of having this open meeting. One, each time I try to bring in some speakers to talk a little bit about what's going on at the county, just to keep people informed. So if there's anybody that you want next time, or if you have questions about, please let me know. I am super easy to get a hold of. It's tuckahoe@henrico.gov. That is my email address. My business card's back there. It has my cell phone on it. I should be easy enough to find for everyone in the Tuckahoe district. So we'll go through three presentations. We have parks, we have public utilities and public works today that are going to speak to us. And then at the end, we'll open it up for some questions. I do have some questions that were sent online. We're going to try to answer all of those within their presentations. And then if there are questions that you have for parks, we'll keep those for parks, and then utilities and public works, et cetera. With that, anything, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. John Zanino to start off giving you a little park update.
Thank you, Mr. Rogish. So it is a great time to live in the Tuckahoe districts for parks because for many years we didn't have a lot to talk about, but this morning I have quite a few projects to talk about. So we're going to start with the new acquisition of the park property on Patterson Avenue. So I don't know if many of you were familiar with that, but the county recently purchased around 6 acres of parkland that is adjacent to Maybeury Elementary School next to the Y that is on Patterson Avenue, and that will be a future park. So last month we had a nice little ceremony announcing the acquisition, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of update today on what the future of that property holds and how you guys can be involved. So with any park property, the first thing that we do before we do any development is we do a master plan. And that master plan is by and large getting input from the community. So that's what we are going to do with this property. So later this fall, actually, we've just confirmed, hot off the press, you guys are the first to hear it, on October 22nd at Maybeury Elementary School, we will be hosting our first public meeting to get input from the residents in the area and you, the community, to see what you would like to take place at this property. There are some themes that we would like to address that we've kind of identified in our master plan. One of that is connectivity. So how do we connect park properties to the nearby businesses, the nearby residents? So that will be a theme that we will try to address, is how is that property going to coexist with the school and the Y next to it? I'll likely be talking to my counterpart here, Mr. Hughes, on how do we connect it into the pedestrian network that may exist or may need to be built. But connectivity is one of the themes that we'd like to address. Another thing is the greatest amenity that was requested of us is trails. So is there a way to get a trail network on that property, and is there a way for that to tie in? And then the rest of it is really up to what you guys want to see. Do you want to see some amenities like playgrounds? Do you want to see a majority of the site kept wooded? It's really going to be up to the community. So we will, again, on the 22nd, we will have that community meeting. We'll get that feedback, and then we will start to develop a plan. And likely what will happen is after we get that initial feedback, we will come back with some conceptual ideas based on that feedback of what's possible on that site. But I do believe that there are plenty of possibilities. I know 6 acres doesn't seem like a lot, but it is, you're able to do quite a lot with that. Some examples, this is Taylor Farm, which is 100 acres, but we only developed 18. So there are ways to leave a lot of the area natural, but still get some elements. So this is how we embrace nature, but still got some elements there. So you can see examples of play equipment around trees and the tree canopies. You can just see how we were able to preserve a lot of those areas. So these are just conceptual ideas of a recent project that we did, but would be possible to do on a smaller scale on this parcel. So again, community meeting, on October 22nd, more information will go out about that. We'll also collect information. If you're not able to attend that meeting in person, we will collect information online for a period of time to really start to gauge what the community wants for that particular spot. Yes?
That need.
I believe it's going to be 5:30. We have to confirm it, and we will send that out. We'll make sure we post the time. We'll send stuff out on our social media channels, and then we'll also likely do mailings to the nearby neighborhood. So just confirmed. I believe it's going to be 5:30, but more information on that. Thanks. So the next property I'd like to talk about is a little bit farther along in the process. This is the Tuckahoe Park or Tuckahoe Little League complex that I wanted to share a little bit about where we're at. So this was a 2016 bond referendum that we are underway. So we've started to see some of the development, and later this year and early next year is when you really will start to see some of this park develop. But what we're doing here is actually, I'll go to this picture first. This is the overall conceptual plan, which is by and large a athletic complex, a Little League complex, and we will be making some significant upgrades to the infrastructure of all of the Little League fields there. This complex is 30, 40 years old, needs some upgrades. So there will be a significant portion of this providing some of that infrastructure for the playing area, providing some better spectator areas, and also providing some ADA access and accessibility. I'll get your question in a second on. So we will be doing some of those amenities. We've actually started to do some of that with some batting cages and dugout amenities. But one of the things that we are adding is some neighborhood park amenities. So this image is a zoomed in area of a neighborhood park that will be in this park for the surrounding community, because we are underserved in parks in this area. So this is a way to take an athletic complex, still allow it to function as an athletic complex, but then also bring in some amenities for the community. So we're adding in a very large playground and splash pad. That playground is probably about the size of the one at Deep Run Park, just for context. Not as big as Taylor Farm, but a good sized playground. And then we will have a network of trails. So again, that theme of trails, there'll be a network of trails that will traverse the entire site. So you people in the neighborhood will be able to walk through. If you have kids that are playing out there and you just want to walk during practice, you'll have a nice trail network that you'll be able to access. It'll also make all of the fields accessible. So the grandparents and those who might have mobility issues will be able to better access the baseball fields that are out there, and then also that network. We'll be adding in some additional parking. We will also be adding 2 restrooms. One will be in the heart of the baseball complex, so we won't have to see porta potties next to some of these fields. We'll be able to put permanent restroom there, and then we'll have another smaller restroom up by the community park area. So timeline on this, some of the baseball stuff is taking place right now, and you'll see that through the fall and ahead of the spring season. The larger project will be put out to bid probably beginning of next year, and you'll see a large push for the construction to take place spring, summer. It's likely to be about a 12 to 18 month project. We'll have to work hand in hand with the Little League to try to have as minimal impact on play on the ball field side. And then some of the other areas we'll be able to work with limited impact. So that's kind of where we are on that. I think we had a question potentially on this one. No, they will not, because many of those improvements require regrading the fields, and this is not the right time of year. So all of those fields have Bermuda grass, and if you go in and rip out Bermuda grass in the winter, it will not take. So the field, so we have some things like dugout amenities have been added in, but when we talk about grading of fields and redoing the dirt and improving the irrigation, some of those are going to be sequenced. And the other issue is we didn't want to take all of the fields out of play at one time, because then you would lose your fall ball season. We didn't want to lose the fall ball. We don't really want to lose the spring. So the grading of the fields is going to be in conjunction with the Little League. We will work out a schedule of what fields will be taken out when, but we can't just go in and fail swoop, do all of it without losing play. So the field specific stuff is going to be in and around the Little League schedule. The amenities that don't impact playability, we can be doing now. So spectator seating areas doesn't affect the play of the field. Some of the press boxes and some of those are some of the things that we're focusing on, and the field work will be done when it is most advantaged for limited downtime, and then also best for the grass so that we don't have longer outages. And then the last project I wanted to talk about is Tuckahoe Creek. So we've had a number, and I'm going to go to this one first. We've had a number of community meetings, and this image that I'm showing you right here is the drawing that we will be, the master plan image that we will be bringing before the board in the coming weeks for approval, based on, it's actually been about 18 months or 2 years worth of community meetings. Once we have this approved master plan, we are in the design phase, and we would be starting construction on this spring of next year. So I know there's been a number of iterations of this, but this is based off all the feedback that we had, what we're going to be bringing forth, which is you'll see mostly or almost exclusively around the Patterson area. This will not connect to the current Tuckahoe Creek. This will be a standalone boardwalk, roughly a mile, and it will tie into the Lakewood community. Lakewood Manor, yes. So those are the 3 projects I wanted to talk about. We did have a question that came in from beforehand, so I wanted to address that. So the question this individual had was about our sports facilities in Glover Park and why there's little to no public access for those fields, and asked kind of why we don't make our field schedule available online. So Glover Park, although is not in the Tuckahoe district, is another project like Tuckahoe that is under a renovation or an expansion. We're expanding and adding many community amenities, so it will not just be a athletic complex. There'll be a dog park, there'll be a 5K network of gravel trails, it will connect into the Fall Line Trail, so it will truly be a for everyone park. It will be one of our county-wide parks. But to get to the specific question on athletic fields, so in the evenings, we schedule all of our athletic fields for local user groups, mostly youth organizations, some adult play. But when it is not scheduled in the evenings, it is open for anyone to play. So during the day, like I just came from Glover, you can go out there. But in the evenings, typically starting around 5 o'clock, and goes till about 10 o'clock, is scheduled with local youth organizations. And so the community access on those fields, if you just wanted to play a pickup game, is typically reserved for during the days, not the weeknights. And we don't post our schedule online because what we have found is the organized sports community would then drop on that field. So if we said that, hey, field 1 is not scheduled this night, what ends up happening is someone finds out that that field is available and they bring their team out there and do an organized practice on that field. So if we shared that availability, all of these organizations that don't go through the right process and provide us that right information and the insurance show up. So we actually have to have staff out there to make sure that the organizations that go through the right process are given that space, and the community access is during the days and on weekends when we're not doing tournaments. So, Friday evening, typically there's not much scheduled, and typically Sunday afternoon and evenings, there's not much scheduled. But we do have a shortage of multi-purpose fields, and Glover is one of the few complexes where we can schedule organized activities. So I'll take questions. I see another one. Yes.
Sir, fields?
So the Kane Road property was part of the 2022 bond referendum. We are very similar to the Patterson Avenue. We are about to kick off a master plan for that complex. When we did the bond referendum, we kind of built it as an athletic village, but we will go through a similar process of saying, hey, what does the community want to see? We do have a need for multi-purpose, so that's likely going to be something that comes out of that master plan. We are funded, but we have to go through the master plan, and then we get our construction money in 2 fiscal years to do construction. But that was part of the 2022 referendum. We're hoping to have a meeting either end of this year or beginning of next year, and we'll push that out just like we do the Tuckahoe one, the Patterson. Yes.
We heard that this
Ethan? You are still playing back.
Well, in fact, in 10 days, I'm going to our national conference, and Taylor Farm Park won the department's first national award for park innovation. So, and that's by our national organization. But there's no reason that some of these other projects can't be nominated. And that is the caliber that we strive for. So it might not be as large, but you can see some similar types of amenities. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zanino. Just 2 follow-ups. For the folks online, the last question, I know they didn't hear it because of the microphone, was about Taylor Farm Park. And what I was going to say is, if you have the opportunity prior to the October 22nd meeting, if you can take just an hour to go out to Taylor Farm Park and just look at some of the amenities, it'll just put in your head some of the ideas that we can do. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. So Taylor Farm Park. Yeah, it's off of Williamsburg Road, but yeah, Chickahominy Y. It's right next to the Chickahominy YMCA. So it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And just to keep us on schedule, I'm going to turn, Mr. Zenino, he'll be here at the end if you have some additional questions for parks, but we're going to turn it over to Mr. Chan. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Rogish. Thank you and good afternoon. I'm Bentley Chan, Director of Public Utilities for Henrico County, and there we go. So I have a short presentation. There are some questions that have been previously submitted that I will answer, and then there will be a few minutes for questions from the audience. So this is a picture not quite unlike Henrico Park, but it is of the Cobbs Creek Reservoir in Cumberland County, and recently named and dedicated for the former county manager, Virgil R. Hazlett, so it's now known as the Virgil R. Hazlett Reservoir at Cobbs Creek. So it is an 1,100-acre site. Ooh. There we go. 1,100-acre site, and it holds almost 15 billion gallons of water. And so during drought conditions, water is released from this reservoir into the James River to help with that, as well as allow the county to take in more water at our Three Chop water plant to produce more water, which we will talk about in a later slide. But final completion is expected at the end of this year, and then within another year, it should be open to the public for fishing, and there will be a trail there that you can walk and boating as well. So it's a very nice facility and a very nice site to go and take a look at. A little bit about the Department of Public Utilities. We are a full-service public utility offering water, wastewater, and solid waste services. We are an enterprise fund, which means that when you pay your water bill, that money actually goes to us to fund all of the operations and maintenance, as well as all the capital improvement projects. So we don't take money from the general fund for our operations. So it is solely funded by user rates and fees. We design, construct, operate, and maintain all of the drinking water, the wastewater treatment, as well as the refuse collection services within the county. And we do have a drinking water plant, which you may have heard about recently this year in the Tuckahoe district off of Three Chop and Gaskins Road, the intersection there. We operate and maintain 1,700 miles of water mains, 1,600 miles of sewer mains, and 42 pumping stations that move all of that back and forth. And then our wastewater treatment plant is in the Varina district off of WRV Road, and the aforementioned Cobbs Creek Reservoir. And so many of you may have remembered the Richmond water crisis. Certainly took up a lot of our time. Happy to report that in the coming weeks, you'll hear some news from the Board of Supervisors, and Mr. Rogish was instrumental in this effort to authorize the design and construction of a 13-mile pipeline that goes across the county so that all of Henrico will benefit from Henrico water. And I'm also happy to report that Henrico Water is the recipient of the National American Water Works Association Award for Best Tasting Water in the country. Yeah, yeah. So everybody will get the benefit of that, and we'll be able to move water back and forth throughout the county, as well as give us a buffer against what has happened in the city. And I will also report that we are working closely with our partners in Hanover County and in the city of Richmond to make sure that all of the emergency planning is in place should something like this happen again, and that we don't end up in a similar situation. So this particular picture is from Monument Avenue and Bremo Road from January of this year. And so our crews, our contractors were working through some pretty harsh conditions to make sure that the water stayed on where it could, as well as we did everything that we could to address the effects of putting water through the system at a very fast rate. And so I will say that we, during the months of January and February, we did repair 207 water main breaks, all because of no water in pipes and all of a sudden lots of water in the pipes. And so 207 is about what we do in a normal year. And so that was all compressed into 2 months. So a lot of hard work, and I mean, to the credit of our staff, to our partners, as well as the support of Mr. Rogish and the Board of Supervisors and the community. So can't thank you enough for being so patient with us. Moving on, you may know this gentleman in the middle. You may know the turtle who's also standing next to him. This is a picture from our Springfield public use area, where last year we did a pumpkin composting for the first time, and we're going to do that again, but also there are bins out there for composting. And so a lot of details on our website on what you can and cannot bring there, but it is a kind of a little fully formed pilot that we're trying to see community interest in composting, and how we can kind of get that going and make it more widespread. So also on that note, and we've gotten a lot of questions about this, which is Henrico refuse collection expanding across the county. And I know a fair amount of people in Tuckahoe don't have our service because it's not available, but I'm happy to report that it will be available over the next 3 years. And so there are, on this map, there are 3 phases of our what we plan to do with our expansion program. And so Henrico County Refuse will be available starting in spring of next year. And more specifically, in the Tuckahoe district, if you are east of Pump Road, Gaskins Road, and Pieram Road, you are part of Phase 1A, and so that will be next year, and so you will get notified by us that service is available, and you can sign up, and it all will go on your utility bill. And we are $18 a month, and so a little cheaper than some of the private haulers. And if you are west of Pump Road, Gaskins Road, and Pieram Road, you are in Phase 2A, which you'll see that service start in 2027. But we will do a big push to let everybody know when your neighborhood will get that service, and what your collection day is. And so that is, I guess, one of the big things that we heard out of community events like this was that, hey, how can I get Henrico County refuse collection service? That's actually my last slide, but I did want to address one question that came in early, which is there is a lot of work or utility work on Pemberton Road near Three Chop and near Fort King. The purpose of this work is actually water and sewer rehabilitation or renewal, and I believe sewer extension. And so the commenter said that it is not on the Public Works website. That's because the project is actually on the Public Utilities website. But we will make sure that we do a short note on social media to let people know what's going on there and how long we will be inconveniencing you. So sorry. So I think at this point we would want to open it up for questions.
And I just would like to remind everyone that the picture that you posted with myself and Stewie, that was not authorized, but no, I'm just kidding. But that was good. But I did want to go back to this one, and just I do want to say thank you to Mr. Chan and all of his staff. I mean, if you look at this picture, you know, we're trying to turn water on, and there are people, as you know, that are working in these conditions. And so just a huge thank you to you and your team for what you guys do. So thank you. Not that you weren't important, Mr. Parks, but but no, thank you. So are there any questions immediately? We'll start on the far left over here.
So the purpose of the pipeline is to be able to move water from our drinking water plant. And so I do apologize, I didn't mention this, but the reason we have Cobbs Creek Reservoir is the ability to take more water out of the James River to make more drinking water. And so the pipeline will allow us to move that additional drinking water to serve eastern Henrico. Now, our plan is to hold on to our contract with the city so that there is a backup. But we do want the ability to say that, hey, if one source goes down, or say we have something that we need to fix and we can't move that water, we still have the city's feed. So it's just overall good to back up our feed from the city, and hopefully we'll have the ability to provide water to the city should anything happen.
The question is that we put fluoride in the water on our award-winning water tasting. We do put fluoride in the water in Henrico County, and so Ms. Ramsey has brought up the question before in the past about, can we take fluoride out? What will be done?
Ordinance over to.
So that is the question that you've asked in the past, and so we do continue to do it, and you know, I will talk to my colleagues again on whether or not we need, talk to the county attorney whether or not we need an ordinance for that.
The wording.
We take the advice of the Virginia Department of Health. That's all I can say at this point. So, okay. Any other? Yes.
DCs.
The answer is between the two of us, we agree, all that, but what we do agree is that we are going to take, like, as Mr. Chen said, that we are going to build a pipe from the west to the east to basically help with, us being less reliant on the city. So we're still going to utilize their water. We're still under contract with them until 2040 to take water from them. So, but it's going to take you a little while to build a 13-mile pipe across. So I think that's pretty much the answer.
Yeah, that.
Oh, one person.
So we're targeting 3 to 4 years, probably from early next year.
This.
And every contractor is always on time, right?
Well, we hope they are.
Well, thank you. All right, thank you for the updates. We appreciate it. And again, if you have some questions that pop up towards the end, they're still going to be around. Okay, with that, we're going to go to Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rogish. Presentation up. But yeah, I'm Terrell Hughes. I'm the Director of Public Works for Henrico County. So I guess the difference between Bentley and I gets confused a lot, but I'm the road person. He handles water, sewer, trash. So I keep it simple. So yeah, I got some quick updates just on some of the things that we're actively working on around the Tuckahoe district specifically, but I'm happy to answer any other questions there. Well, while that gets pulled up, I guess our first slide. How many of y'all are familiar with the WHOA campaign? Watch Out Ahead, Henrico. So that's one of our campaigns that we've launched. Pedestrian safety is really one of our big challenges that we're experiencing across the county, and we've been handing out vests. We understand that that's not the ultimate be-all, end-all solution, but a lot of it is it's awareness. So we're trying to promote awareness from both the driver's standpoint that we have pedestrians and cyclists that use our roads, as well as we have walkers from a safety and awareness standpoint. But those vests, they're available here at the library. They're also available at the government centers, any of the police stations there. The other big thing, this was announced last year, but annually our Board of Supervisors has allocated $1.5 million towards roadway lighting now. So as many of y'all have lived in the county for a long time, we've been kind of a dark skies county. So this funding is set up where we're actually going to install solar lighting, so LED solar lights along key corridors. So these aren't necessarily going to be in your neighborhood. It's really targeted more towards some of our busier roads like Parham, where we do have people who walk at night. A large percentage of our pedestrian fatalities do occur at night. We do have incidents that happen in the day, but this is specifically to target some of the incidents that are happening on roads like Broad Street. So that's a new initiative that our board put into place. We've actually installed a few pilot locations. So if you live on like Derbyshire, you'll notice that was one of our pilot solar lighting locations that we installed. And we're working with the state, VDOT, and others to hopefully quickly deploy some of these to some other locations. So just be on the lookout for that. For those wondering, and I've got a lot of slides, I'm going to quickly click through them, but really we do have a lot of pedestrian and sidewalk and bike lane projects that's the lion's share of our project portfolio. And I know we have 285 miles of sidewalk now. So for perspective, the county that we maintain, we have about 1,400 miles of road. So there's a lot of road in the county that does not have sidewalk. That's just the way it developed. So we're working as fast as we can to retrofit our network to make it as safe for those that want to walk or bike. So that's kind of what those numbers are there. We also have 74 active just pedestrian projects. It would be more if I included our roadway projects that also include sidewalk. But those are just pedestrian projects, meaning that they're trail projects or sidewalk projects, totaling about $570 million. So we've got a pretty significant investment in safety, pedestrian safety, cycling safety, and that'll equate to about 20 miles of additional sidewalk, 16 miles of shared use paths, and then for those, where we also have transit in the county, so we're working as quickly as possible to put in essential transit infrastructure like bus shelters and benches at many of the bus stations to keep people out of the rain and from standing on the side of the road. So those are some things that we're actively working on around the county. So if you live in the area, you may have seen some of these projects get completed. So this is what we've done on Ridge Road. We also put a sidewalk in on Rain Tree Drive. If you've seen, we've also added some bike lanes on Ridge Road. I'm going to click through this fairly quickly, but so I apologize. We're going to save some time for Q&A. Southmoreland, we were able to add a sidewalk through a section of Southmoreland. West End Parkway, we actually enhanced our shoulder to make it a little bit safer in a narrow area where people needed to essentially cross. We had a dogleg intersection that didn't necessarily align, and people needed a safe place. So that's something that our team was able to quickly install, plus a crosswalk. If you've driven on Forest, I apologize. You've probably been stuck in traffic on that, but we've been enhancing the trail project there, making it a little bit safer for especially students to walk to and from school along that area. And that project's nearing completion. On River Road, we actually had there was a bridge that someone was nice enough to build across the ditch, but it had gotten to the point where it was in disrepair. So our team was able to improve that crossing of the ditch, and we're actually going to be finishing the striping work later this week. So I don't have the latest, greatest image, but this just kind of shows you some of the work that our team does to try to quickly get projects implemented. Our team does in-house design, so we don't necessarily have to hire engineering consultants for everything, and that allows us to move a little bit quicker with some of our project initiatives. We also have recently installed a roundabout on Derbyshire Road to help slow some traffic down. That also included a crosswalk. I mentioned earlier the solar light. And then at the intersection of Parham and Derbyshire, we took away, there was a little, I call it a slip lane for the right term, that was causing a lot of crashes. People were, I think, assuming that they could just kind of pull out into traffic on Parham. So we got rid of it. So now you have to come to a complete stop. So that was a project that we implemented earlier this year. We're also doing some things in neighborhoods. The bulk majority, and I have a slide later to talk about our traffic calming program, but the lion's share of what we've been doing in neighborhoods has really been slowing traffic down through speed bumps. But we do have a few cases where we've installed roundabouts on neighborhood streets. They've been very effective at slowing traffic down. Charles Street was one where we had a lot of not to blame parents, but we had a lot of people driving to and from the school that were kind of speeding through the neighborhood. We had a number of crashes. So this was targeted at slowing traffic down on Charles Street. Glendale University of Rico, that's a roundabout that's been in place for a little while, but we enhanced it because some of our school buses were having a tougher time tracking over the roundabout. So we made some modifications to that. It's a popular cut-through route for people trying to avoid the Parham-Patterson intersections. Oops. All right, so quick look ahead to some of the things we have coming. So if you live off of, or near U of R on College Avenue, we're actually putting some pedestrian crossings in at a couple of the locations. It's a popular area for people walking, so we want to make it a little bit safer for pedestrians to cross the street at that location. Forest Avenue, there's a little section right near Ridge Road where there's a missing piece of sidewalk. It's only a few hundred feet, so we'll be installing that hopefully in the next month or so to make that connectivity that's missing. Stalling at Croxton, another area where we see a lot of pedestrian activity, especially students walking all the way from Freeman over there where the Sheets is at. So we're going to be boxing that intersection in with crosswalks to make it easier to cross that street. So had some things on order, but should hopefully be going to construction soon on that project, as well as a section of sidewalk on East Ridge Road. There's a little missing section of sidewalk that will be starting construction early next year. At the intersection, and I know this is an area that probably is on a lot of people's minds, so we understand there was, we know there's a crash there that occurred, which was tragic. But we just letting people know, we had a project in play to put a crosswalk, enhance the crosswalks at the intersection of Three Chop Road and East Ridge. So we'll be improving that intersection by making it more accessible. So those are like handicap accessible ramps. The location currently doesn't have them. And improving the crosswalks with what we would call more high visibility crosswalks. So this is a very busy pedestrian corridor, especially once school lets out. You have the middle school in close vicinity as well as Freeman High School. So wanting to enhance that. And speaking of that same area, we're also looking at installing some pedestrian hybrid beacons. So to quickly explain what this is, it's essentially a signal. It's a traffic signal that stops traffic. So it's a little bit more than what you would see with our flashing pedestrian sign. Those have not been as effective on 4-lane roads. So, we're going to make a more substantial investment. This runs between $500,000 and $1 million, just for perspective. But we are installing it. It's essentially a blank signal. When someone pushes a button, it triggers a special flash pattern, which will then eventually trigger a red light. And then once the red light has stopped traffic, the pedestrian can safely cross the street. And then it puts some kind of flash pattern, essentially letting people know, hey, if there's no pedestrians, you can then go. And then eventually the signal goes blank again. So this is something that we're looking at installing right in front of Tuckahoe Middle School over near Fargo. There was previously a crosswalk there. That crosswalk was removed because it was not safe to cross. But we are putting a project in that will make it safe to cross the street there, as well as one right in front of Freeman High School. So I don't have it in the presentation. All right. But there, we also currently have one under construction in front of Mills Godwin High School as well. So you may have kids that go there or know someone going there.
The county.
Yep.
Because I need something.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, we'll have a video out once it's officially built. We'll do a video. We actually have a bunch of folks from our PR team, but the person who needed to hear that heard it. North Parham Road, we also have sidewalks. This is one just north of Patterson, so there's a missing piece if you want to be able to walk to the Regency area. So that's going to construction next year. We also have sidewalk going in on Ridgefield Parkway between Lauderdale and Gayton. That's going to construction next year. Forest to Skipwith, we're going to be adding some pedestrian signals and ADA accessible accommodations. That'll go to construction next year. Ridge Road Phase 2. So the Phase 1 didn't get you all the way to Parham Road. Phase 2 hopefully will be going to construction in 2027. Which will fully connect up to Parham. So you'll have full connectivity between Forest and Parham with that project, as well as Patterson. So we've got a project that VDOT, we acquired the funding, and then VDOT is actually administering and building a section of sidewalk on Patterson between Horsepen and Sweetbriar for 2027. We also have a project that VDOT is administering in front of Tucker High School, if you're familiar with that area. So we do have sidewalk going in, as well as signal improvements with pedestrian signals at that location as well. And we just recently, we're in the process of reconstructing the intersection at Parham and Mayland. I didn't put that on the presentation, but that'll also include pedestrian accommodations. And we do have funding to fix the Parham at I-64 interchange. VDOT is leading that effort, but that project's also in design now. That's not in my presentation, but I'm sure a lot of you drive through that busy intersection. Derbyshire Road, we've got a project for a building extending that trail essentially from Lakewater all the way to Midway, excuse me. Anticipated to go to construction in 2027. So, and then we have not forgotten about Broad Street. So part of Broad still also. So we've got a couple of sections of Broad Street that we do have sidewalk enhancements. So Broad Street's been a big focus area. That's probably our most dangerous corridor from a pedestrian standpoint. And we pretty much have sidewalk projects funded and in design at about probably 90+% of it. So there's two interchanges, the Broad at Glenside interchange, as well as the Broad at out near Short Pump, the Broad Street at 64 interchange. So those are only the two areas that we have left to find funding for. But other than that, we have projects in development to get sidewalk on West Broad Street. So once we get that accomplished, we have other roads like Staples Mill and, in the Tuckahoe area, a big priority will be Patterson. So that's going to be the next corridor that we try to knock sidewalk out on. But we've been very strategic. We go after grant funding. We, the projects that score the best usually have the most traffic and have the biggest safety challenges. So those are the projects that we're pursuing funding on first. So I have a few questions. Well, you want me to get through first and then, or y'all have some questions related to the sidewalk? Yeah, okay. All right, I saw his hand up first, then I saw hers, and then I saw you, but go ahead.
Sept. It's just hot, Godspeed.
No, but we're in discussions. I think that's out there, but we don't have control of it yet. We've taken control of the projects to drive them faster, though. Yeah.
We don't have.
Good question. Yeah, we actually we're pursuing some funding right now for that section. Yep. Sorry. Yeah, you had your hand. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the question is, are we extending sidewalk from River Ridge at Forest south towards River Road? So we are looking at an effort there. I don't have a timeline on it, but we're looking at, I'll call it conceptual work, where we come up with a concept of a project. So that is an area we want to, essentially we identify what the project needs to be, roughly how much it's going to cost, and then we work on funding.
What?
No, nothing's less important. We just can't build it all at once. But no, that is on our list, and we will be working on extending it south. I think we have something identified that we could probably do. I think getting close to University, so that it doesn't quite get all the way to River, and then we'll be working to go further south. Yeah.
What?
So you said, are there plans for a roundabout at Northmoreland and Derbyshire? So no, not right now. So we're looking at adding a turn lane there. It's existing signalized location.
So what do you serve?
Yes. Yeah, that location's a little bit tight. We would have to start impacting more of the surrounding property owners to build a roundabout there. Yep. Okay, yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, just as you know, I met with the principal this morning and the PTA president and with school safety, and Ms. Shea is here as well. And so we are going to, we're going to work on a community meeting just to kind of get all the ideas on the table for that corridor. You saw that these were the things that were already in process, but we will work to get a community meeting and include the PTA of Ridge and the PTA of Freeman, because that entire section, not even just road improvements, but there might be some school things, et cetera, that we can all work on. So we will commit to that this year, I promise.
Thank
Good. Good.
Yeah, I think that's included in the project, but I'll give you my card to verify that. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the question was, how are we prioritizing areas for roundabouts, and are we doing them to slow traffic down, and do we have data? So the answer to the question is there's many reasons why we install roundabouts. We do have before-after data. They do slow traffic down. in the immediate vicinity of the roundabout. The further you get away from the roundabout, the less the effects are, but we have seen some positive speed results with the roundabout. We've put in about, I think, 15 or 16 in the last 4 or 5 years. The biggest stat I can share about roundabouts is in those, the last 4 years, we have not had a single injury crash at any of the roundabouts. So we've had a few minor fender benders at the locations. Most of those locations where we put roundabouts in, they have had serious injuries or even fatal crashes. So we've seen a tremendous reduction in crashes and injury crashes, as well as on vehicle speed. So far so good as far as the before after data. As far as where do we put roundabouts in? So right now we haven't done a multi-lane roundabout, so they're usually on 2-lane roads. And we, like Derbyshire, for example, that location was selected because it was an existing 4-leg intersection. So we had enough space to put the roundabout in. But there are some other bigger roundabouts that are in development. They're a little bit more expensive and they have a little bit more time required before putting them in. But a lot of what we've put in are projects we can build quickly and efficiently. So for perspective, that pedestrian signal I mentioned, that was somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million to build. So we just built we rebuilt the traffic signal at Parham and Mayland. That was about an $850,000 investment just to rebuild the traffic signal. We're building these roundabouts for $300,000 to $500,000. So just from a perspective.
You good? A second. Yep.
Yeah.
Ours.
Yeah. Yeah, so the question was, they drive around, they don't see bikers in the bike lanes and wondering if we have data on bang for our buck. So in general, so the bike lanes, I guess I'll answer it this way. So if you like bikes, the bike lanes are probably good. We're improving the connectivity. If you do not like bikes, you're probably wondering why we put it in, which is a good, no, I'm just saying it's a good question. However, one of the big things that we've seen, so I'll use our Church Road project as an example from a few years ago. We took a 4-lane section of road that had a lot of crashes. It didn't have a defined section with turn lanes, and it had a lot of crashes. Since we've installed the bike lanes, crashes have dropped tremendously. Yeah, we can pull that data, not off the top of my head, but I'm just saying there's multiple benefits to the bike lane. Sometimes reducing the number of lanes actually provides a safety benefit. And we have seen safety benefits from the bike lane. So, and if you look at the cost we're spending on bike lanes, a lot of times the roads are already repaving. We're not striping it the same exact way before. So, these projects almost cost nothing, and they do. And nationally, it's not just us. There are tremendous benefits to these roadway reconfigurations where you change the road configuration. So that is a national trend as well. So we are seeing tremendous safety benefits where we have put bike lanes in. It's slowing traffic down. It's leading to safer driver behavior.
We can work to get some data.
Yeah, but yeah,
we can work to get some data on actually how many people are using them. Let's commit to that.
Yeah.
I'll get that.
So we got more questions.
Yeah, lots of questions.
Mine's are some big bunch. Vehicles. Okay.
All right, I was pointing back there, guys.
Rich.
How are you?
I'm doing what I need.
Yeah, so I'll go back. So we've got a couple of projects. You said Glenside and Perham. So we're looking at 2028. So this is a project that we have sidewalk going in as well as rebuilding the traffic signals there. So that does include pedestrian safety. Keep in mind, this is a VDOT maintained facility, so we have to work through VDOT before adding anything there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you were talking about regulation of concrete versus asphalt. Yeah, they're not aware of any regulation there. We will install trails as asphalt versus sidewalk, which is concrete. So our sidewalk is generally 5 feet wide, and then if we're looking to install a trail, that could be anywhere from 8 to 10 feet wide. We do usually typically put that as asphalt. Usually a trail, you want a little bit more spacing, but no, I'm not aware of any requirement for asphalt or concrete. Now, concrete lasts longer, so that's a reason why you would typically put concrete in. Yeah, that would be a question for your state elected official, not to defer, but we are working on that now.
We get
Yeah, so VDOT actually has a project that we're hoping to go to construction maybe next year. So with the county's purchase of the land, they are looking to replace that signal. I'm talking about Mayberry at Patterson. It's a current span wire signal, so the signals are hanging on a wire with mast arms, and then that will also allow for pedestrian crossings as well as a flashing yellow arrow. I know that's something that a lot of people have wanted, to be able to turn left instead of waiting for nobody to come from Patterson. So that is a project in the works. Yeah, sorry I didn't have a slide on that either.
done it again.
I'm correct.
With me on this hot felt, sir.
Anything. anybody?
Well, I'm gonna, just on the interest of time, I'm gonna wrap up this point just for the folks on TV. But closing Camden, it has been brought up before, especially when Freeman, the oldest high school in the county, is on the top of the list to be rebuilt. I said when it is. I didn't say it is. I was very careful there. But when it gets to the top of the list on to be rebuilt, it would go on top of Camden, and it would close Camden Road. The suggestion is certainly, if you're going to do that, then do it sooner than later. So we can take a look at that on the impact of the schools and the parents, et cetera. So I do, yeah, one more question, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, it is. That's on our list as well. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, the question was installing on our list of sidewalks. I said yes.
Well, I do want to just be respectful of everyone's time. I think we said 1 to 2, but I'm not going anywhere. A couple of questions are coming in as we speak. One thing I did want to mention to everyone, there was a police video that was done in the last few days on electric bikes. And so I do encourage everyone, I don't know if we can pull it up or not. That's a challenging question there at the last minute. They're looking at me no. But if you go out to the police site, the Henrico County site, they did talk a little bit about electric bikes. So, a couple questions came in on education, et cetera. Schools educating people to walk on the right side of the road, facing traffic, bikes, going with traffic, walkers going against traffic. Things like that are out there, and we do try to encourage those folks to do that. So I will open it up to some questions. Oh, yeah, you want to answer that question on the Carver Elementary, and I'll read this.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, so we got a number of questions, people requesting safer crossing across Lauderdale at Carver. And I've responded to a few people who emailed, but we are starting a project to basically look at improving that crosswalk and add flashing pedestrian signs. So that is in the works for anybody asking that question.
Ms. Chen, there's a question on the Druin Hills status of that sewage project over there.
So Druin Hill, if you may recall, we had $64 million in American Rescue Plan Act funding to take offline wells and septic systems. Unfortunately, that money needed to be spent very, very quickly, and no offense to anyone who lives in the Druin Hills neighborhood, we ran up into a lot of resistance in getting access to do surveying, as well as access to put the plans together. And so we've found a little bit of a happy medium. There is I believe the northern section of Druin Hills, we found a way from an engineering perspective to route that sewer, and we're going to do that first and then start to come back and try to get the rest of the neighborhood. But I'm here and I can give anybody a business card if they want more details on it.
Do you want to talk about word on the street? This is an excellent source for you to sign up. I think you've seen this before, but this is everything that he just talked about in Tuckahoe. It should be out there in word on the street, and it's very specific to just the Tuckahoe district, or you can sign up for other districts, the countywide, et cetera. So this is a great resource, and it's about 1 year old today, right? Isn't it a little over a year old? A little over a year old, so year and a half old.
It also has public utilities.
Has public utilities on it as well, so. Okay, I did forget there's Mr. Bob Shippey is here. He's on the Planning Commission. He's actually a three-chop representative on the Planning Commission. So as things come up in the county for planning, they do go through the Planning Commission first. It's the first opportunity for a public hearing. He's one of the 5 members. So thank you for being here, Mr. Shippey. So I will open it up to any additional questions oh yeah, got some good hands. Excellent. Yes, sir.
I was just gonna make a comment. Joe asked.
Well, what one of the question, the comment was on the Derbyshire roundabout. One of the goals of the roundabout was to take somebody coming north on Parham that was going west on Patterson to go all the way up to the light and make a left, onto Patterson rather than take the cut through, or vice versa, either way. So the roundabout was intentionally done to not only slow people down, but to lessen the amount of traffic on the road. So thanks for the comment.
Yes, second.
I saw her hand first, and then I'll come up.
Is there?
Sure. We do have some improvements planned on there. Do you want to answer the question? I mean, he would love to put another roundabout on Derbyshire. I know that.
Just, yeah. Yeah, so the question was, are we doing something, I guess, towards Parham on Derbyshire? So we are looking at a location, trying to identify a location to put another potentially roundabout. So unfortunately, what I mentioned, like the one that we installed was an existing 4-leg intersection. We don't have another good 4-leg location, so we're going to have to create a roundabout. So it's a little bit more of a project, but we do recognize the need to slow traffic down.
About like just some.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. As far as we're looking to see what could be done to slow traffic down. Yeah. Yep.
The only thing I want. So.
Roundabout.
Going at. Look like it.
There it is.
And there it is.
Yeah. More lighting at the roundabout. So. Yeah. We did add a light there, right? Didn't we? Yeah, we did add a light there. Yes, sir.
Strategic.
When you say projects, road projects, any?
Project.
Uh-huh.
Only street projects.
Yeah, sure.
But.
Sure.
So is.
So a couple of different answers there. As utilities talked about, water, sewage, garbage is all in a fund completely separate that gets billed to those people that utilize that, and they do have reserves. We are required to keep some reserves on target. Projects that are the most costly, our school's friends are spending. I'm sorry, because I had to say that because she's back there, but we do. We always have the meals tax for some schools, but the big projects do go through the bond referendums, like the parks project that schools will go through the bond referendums.
So it's like. That's fine too.
Sure. I mean, everything is on a replacement plan, and actually, we have a pretty good idea of our capital reserves and our capital improvement plan. We can get that to you. It's out there online, but we do have a good cap improvement plan. Yes, Ms. Ramsey.
Okay, this is a follow-up.
Okay.
Appreciate.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. Oh, I'm not. You're talking about me. All right, we're gonna. I am not concerned about Henrico. The attorney has advised us. I'm not concerned about it personally. Yes, ma'am. Yes, she's still here.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'll have our school board chair.
The short answer is yes. We're still providing the same meal coverage for all of our students. And so in addition to free and reduced lunch that families can fill out a form to be eligible for, we have dozens of our school, which are community eligibility provision schools, which means every student receives free lunch and free breakfast every day without having to fill out a form. And so at this time, we're not seeing any gaps there. Obviously, we're keeping an eye on things, feeding our students. It's hard to learn when you're hungry. And so that's important. We're keeping an eye on things, but we don't have any gaps at this time.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Last question.
It's Larson.
So her question has to do with the enrollment at Gayton Elementary School, as well as some developments coming online. So we have at Pump and Church. So we have a planning department within Henrico County Public Schools, and Ms. Thayer is incredible. She can tell you every development in the county and when it's going to come online and how many students it's projected to yield. She's like an encyclopedia. She's amazing. And how every classroom and every building is being used. She's incredible. And so she helps us to track and keep track of that. Every September 30th, schools report out. This is statewide. Schools report out what their enrollment is. So we won't know what the fall enrollment is officially until September 30th because you have students moving between schools. And that sort of thing. So the most current official information I have is from last fall. We do keep a close eye on Gayton and any schools over 90%. I pulled quite a few years, and when I got your email, I pulled quite a few years. Pre-COVID, Gayton was over 100%. We were in the middle of a countywide redistricting that got paused in 2020 because of COVID. There was a lot of movement during that time and transiency in student distribution. And when everyone got back in the building, Gayton was under 100%, but we've kept an eye on it. It's currently under 100%. Last week at the school board meeting, we talked about, we have 3 new bond projects opening in the next 2 years. So that's Longin Elementary School with additional capacity, Jackson Davis Elementary School with additional capacity, and Quioccasin Middle School with additional capacity. And so the board asked the planning department and the superintendent on Thursday to look at how to best utilize that capacity, which could very well include boundary changes for multiple schools. It's kind of like a domino effect. When you pull kids here, it pulls kids. And so on September 11th, we expect to have a report back from the planning department on how boundaries could possibly change. But again, we're keeping an eye on Gayton. There is, when we talk about maximum students in a class, that has to do with VDOE, the Virginia State. For elementary school, my personal opinion, it's higher than it should be, but it's over 30 students to be in an elementary school class is the state maximum. Now, in Henrico, obviously, we try to keep it significantly below that, especially for elementary school students. And so we typically don't get close to the maximum because we staff at a much higher rate than other localities. We, working together with our Board of Supervisors, we put a lot of extra dollar in, a lot further than what the state funds, so that we stay below that number. But we're continuously looking at things, and we look forward to next week seeing what the planning department's bringing us on adjustments that might need to be made to best utilize the new space in our buildings.
I can guess what the question's going to be next, so I'm just going to hand you back the microphone, Ms. Shea.
That is a fantastic question.
It's your session.
Tucker's also over capacity, but it has not been over capacity as long as Freeman has, which has been the majority of the last decade. So last spring, last fall, almost a year ago, I asked the board to consider how to relieve capacity at Freeman. They did not follow through with that in the spring. And so I've asked that to be part of the consideration in terms of capacity this fall. Now, when we come to the building, it becomes a much more complicated thing. And so I have my opinion as the school board representative for this area, and I have the official school board opinion on the matter. My school board, the kind of official look is that Freeman got renovated in 2008 and 2009. Okay, so and there's some schools that haven't been touched. I'm going to move away from the official opinion to my opinion. So I love you reflect. This does not reflect the opinion of the division or the school board as a whole. I taught at Freeman during 2008 and 2009. I saw the renovation happen. I saw that the needs far surpassed the budget. It was one of the last projects on that bond, and so funds ran out before the annex. If you've been in the annex, it's got like a little cloud of drop ceiling and that sort of thing. The auditorium didn't get touched at that time. The big gym, which was built in the 90s, was left out. There's a lot of parts of the school that weren't touched. So I have advocated for the last couple years, we use an external firm to analyze our buildings when we're looking at new bonds and new big projects, so that we can make sure we're not just looking at a timeline, we're looking at where the actual need is and prioritizing that. A couple years ago, I requested that Freeman, when we have a new set of analysis come in, be evaluated like it wasn't renovated. And so Mr. Rogish and I are working on that. We're working on advocating for it. I have 4 other colleagues, and they have buildings that haven't been touched that they're very adamant should be higher on the list. So when we get closer to the bond, because that's how we fund these things, right? We fund them through a bond. We've already done this bond. We have our set of projects. When the next bond comes through, that will be the time. We have a list. The list is, what adjective would you use?
Exhaustive.
It's long. It's a bit squishy, if you will, until we get closer to the bond. And once we get closer to leveraging a new bond is when it really gets finalized what projects are part of that and kind of what the priority is. So we're not quite there yet for leveraging the next bond. That was a long answer, sorry, but there's the official stance, and then there's the stance of, I was part of, I taught in the building, right? I saw what the renovation covered and didn't, and what the needs are.
Go ahead.
Last question. Well, here, the we had more police officers now on speed cameras. Despite the tragedies we see, do you need some sidewalks somewhere? But and you can disagree with me, and I respect your opinion. That's right.
Well, thank you for the comment. And, obviously we have a very unique county. It's the shape of it alone kind of going around the city. It's a wonderful county. I love it here. We're trying to, address issues for everyone to be more accessible, et cetera. So hopefully we're doing a decent job at it. My goal with this talk is kind of twofold, right? To bring these folks in, to give you some updates on what's going on in the county, also get a little pulse from what's going on. Maybe we need to look at some the bike lane, the overall bike plan, et cetera, from the comments. So, get you the data on that. But it's a chance for me to get out and talk to the folks. I am super accessible. My card is back there. Please take one. My phone number's out there. As we go through projects, and Mr. Shippey is here on the Planning Commission, we do look at every single project to make sure we talk about the impact, whether it be with schools or traffic or police or safety. So we're not just cramming a bunch of stuff in Henrico. I hope that you know that. So with that, I will be around. I think these folks, at least for the next 10 minutes or so, they'll be around if you guys have questions coming up. And we'll set another meeting later this year. So thank you for coming out today. Thank you.